that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Conan the Barbarian. Issue 104 of the Marvel comic, and of course you can find the original short story fairly easily as well. The Vale, the Lost Woman. Now, I don't have too much to say about this. I want to talk about the positives on the one hand. There's been other stories where I've had problems where Conan, seemingly wants to rape a woman. Like, that's his entire motivation. And that's not here. In fact, he seems to be actively against that. As wouldn't rape be a form of slavery, which Conan has expressed distaste of so far from what I've read. So, I don't necessarily know if the order I'm reading these stories in is correct, but I still find that to be a massive improvement. So I'll take that for what I can get. The big thing about this story, and I'll be honest, forgive me, I am forgetful. This takes place in an area of Samaria, and of course, the whole thing with Howard's works is this is meant to be like an ancient past, like our past. So this ancient culture that we are in this story is somewhere in Africa. And so, we have many black characters in this story from the 1930s. Now, the interesting thing is that this story is told primarily through this new lady's perspective, this white lady's perspective, named Olivia. It's not from Conan's POV. Conan is there, he's working with these people. And, this chronologically, if it does take place after Queen of the Black Coast, he may be depressed over the loss of his truest love, this pirate queen. And so has just decided to take up stuff with these people who he can, I guess, relate to. I'm not exactly sure. The other positive is later on in the story there is a monster which appears, which is called an elder god. And this is very much a Lovecraftian entity. And this is the thing, because Howard was friends with Lovecraft. And so Lovecraft was always about the fear of the unknown. The closer you get to the truth of something that terrifying, the more insane you become. You were meant to run away, remain ignorant. Don't try to understand the unknowable or face the consequences. Howard was like, no, just hack them down. So there's an interesting bit of world building where Conan talks about how these elder gods are not gods, they are devils who will occasionally come down to Earth, but when they come down to Earth, they must inhabit a mortal form. But when they do such, they make themselves vulnerable. Which is an interesting bit of world building, especially if Howard and Lovecraft were friends. If they, within each other, were, if there was a bit of overlap in terms of continuity, theoretically, because Howard was friends with Lovecraft, if this is meant to be the ancient past, right? Him and Lovecraft were writing around the same time. Lovecraft's story would have been the modern day stories of these Lovecraftian entities, whereas Howard's could have been the ancient past. Interesting to think about. But, of course, Howard kills the beast, Well, I guess so. It's his self-insert. Conan kills the beast. Those are my positives, though. I was going to recommend the Marvel comics instead, but they don't change much of the wording. So I don't know if you should at all. Because I know this is not the only story that has elder gods and Lovecraftian entities. So you don't need this to get this like little unique aspect of the story. But the issue is that we follow Livia. And Livia is a civilized gal. Maybe this is meant to be a critique of her. I doubt it, because it's still Howard who wrote it. And, I mean, Conan chastises her, but not for being racist. Just for being weak. Um, there are many descriptions. This black lady gives an evil laugh. This, they describe someone as having frog lips. I had to put down the story for like a couple minutes. I was flabbergasted. Now, it's the 1930s. It's to be expected, I suppose. But I've read quite a few Conan stories so far, and I've yet to see anything that blatantly a problem. So I've been pleasantly surprised going through it. That is, I could read this today and it'd be fine. But this story is of its time in terms of descriptions, and I can't abide it. If you want to read it for preservation's sake, I mean, sure. And again, it does have the cool aspect of the elder god and everything. Um, but there's so many Conan stories. I mean, the Marvel comics run alone lasts like what, like 300 issues or something crazy like that. You're not missing out if you don't read this one. Not really. I don't feel. I feel the negatives of this story, the whole first half, far outweigh that later half, which was cool and interesting. But it's a rough one, especially that first half. But it is what it is. But if you have read it, which I don't recommend you do if you haven't, if you have, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section, but let me know if you too felt a little put off by that. Um, if you feel the Elder God being is enough to recommend this to other individuals, because I can see a case be made for that. But I also think Livia is just extremely unlikable. As this main POV we have for the entire short story, she's just, I hate her so much, and I have no sympathy for her. I mean, to be fair, she's being tossed around to basically be like a sex slave, which is another thing, just casually kind of. And she offers herself to Conan. And again, this is where progress, because Conan's like, no, because it'd be like I'm forcing myself on you, and I don't want to do that. Also, you're not worthy of my time anyway. Um, but, you know, it is what it is. I'll see you next time, though, when we talk about more Conan stories, because, you know, despite this little hiccup of a story here, I still relatively enjoy these a lot, and I look forward to reviewing more. No matter how these stories may be presented, as these are the 1930s, when they're being written, I still love Howard's prose, though his prose are rather lacking in this story, I think. But his prose are usually very strong, and it's always just this sense of adventure and fun. And I am going to do as much of the Conan stuff as I can do. And we will do Solomon Kane, and we will do Null when we get there. Or whatever his name is, Kroll. But we'll get there when we get there. Until next time, live your life to the fullest. I think Conan would do the same. Bye-bye.